Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hymn History. My name is Alexis Brinley, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode. It was December 1772, and an English pastor sat down and pondered, as most pastors do, how to encourage and uplift his congregation in the new year. He began to pen words that told the story of God's grace in his life. The pastor was John Newton, and what was written was the words to the beloved hymn, Amazing Grace. When pondering over the songs to research for hymn history, Amazing Grace was at the top of my list. Amazing Grace was the first song I learned on the guitar, and I've probably sang it over 1,000 times. So it was only natural that I'd use that as my first video, until I learned the timing of the writing of the song and resolved to save it for the first video of the new year. John Newton's life was full of problems and brokenness. Newton wrote in his autobiography of his searching for something, of days trying to appease a God he didn't know, and then days of living in complete sin, living for the flesh. He was as tumultuous as the sea he made his living on. He was a slave ship captain as well as being a slave at one point himself, until one day, at sea, faced with certain death, he called out to God for mercy and was granted what could only be perceived as grace. Newton said after that was not the point when he truly became a Christian. Well, while it may not have been the day that he became a Christian, it was the day that he started truly learning about the God he had been searching for. Several years later, he quit sailing and became a tax collector, and in 1764, he became a minister. Before his death, he became an avid supporter of the abolitionist movement in England and continued as a minister until his death in 1807. The hymn Amazing Grace was published in Only Hymns in 1779. The hymn, however, received in England did not reach popularity until it reached American shores during the Second Great Awakening. During this great revival, a Baptist song leader by the name of William Walker began touring and teaching people how to sing through the use of shape notes. One of the songs he happened to publish in his book, The Southern Harmony, was Amazing Grace, with the tune of New Britain. I was able to look up people singing the song New Britain and found that while it was similar to the familiar tune of Amazing Grace, there were several distinct differences. Those differences were thanks to a man by the name of EOXL, or Edwin Othell Excel. Edwin may be familiar to some if you've listened to other hymn history episodes, due to the fact that he is also the composer behind the tune of Count Your Many Blessings, which we did in an earlier episode. So many lives have been touched by this beautiful song, and as I sing the words to the hymn, feel free to sing along with me and think of the grace that God has shown you through your own life. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me, His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life Yea, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease, I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow, the sun forbear to shine, but God who called me here below will be forever mine. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first began. John Newton experienced the grace of God in his life, not because he was such a special person, but because God is gracious and John accepted his gift. Grace is free to all. It's an open invitation by God to share with him your burdens and throw them at his feet, if you will only accept the gift of his Son. Remember, grace is God's riches at Christ's expense. To God be the glory. Have a nice day.